Hello everyone, I am Tegan Obermeyer-Loder, and my senior project was actually learning how to fly a plane. So I have a pretty snazzy PowerPoint here.
Tegan is also going to be our technical director in case anything goes wrong, since he loves the computer.
All right. So as I said, my senior project was how I learned to fly a plane, and it's different for other different people because there's many different types of planes. But it's just how I did it. So for me, I actually had two mentors. I had Kosti, and his certifications were in multiple different airplane-related certifications, including commercial and multi-engine. And then my other mentor, he had multiple certifications in helicopters and airplanes with commercial and multi-engine as well. So for the time I actually spent working on my project, I spent about 40 hours just like learning the material and learning how to fly like a plane because it is quite a big task. And about 30 hours are like minimum for to get your license. But I spent about 40 hours in the plane so far. And I spent like about 9 hours with an instructor just going to like what's called ground school. And that's where if you don't know like a certain topic, you can just go right over it with the instructor. And if you didn't know how to do certain turns and like that, you go over it with them. And I also spent about another 30 hours studying for a test, which is the written test. I actually passed it yesterday. And it's an incredibly large test. It's 60 questions with about 4,000 words. So the question bank to choose from for the test makers. So it was a pretty big feat for me to finally pass that. And for the final product, there's a variety of different flight plans and how to make, and these are just different ones for different legs of the flight I went through. And I actually have these maps, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to draw out your plans in the maps. You use what's called a plotter to actually plot them out. You can get all the information you need. You write them out here and have the wings and everything, so you know the correct course and stuff to fly. So you can look out and say, oh, here's a lake that's supposed to be here, 30 minutes in. You can find all your way based on that. And here are the pictures of the maps. They are quite large maps. So I just kind of have pictures of them. And as you can see, it kind of went through here. I started here at Van Nuys Airport, and I flew all the way up over Camarillo Airport. So it's it's called overflying, so you just pass over it. And then I continued on to Santa Maria Airport as my final destination. And on the way back, I stopped at Oxnard because we have to have our required 3 landings for our license. So I stopped at Oxnard, which was right around here, and then I went all the way back to Van Nuys. It was a pretty nice experience because it was such a long flight. There wasn't much to do, so you just look out, taking the scenery and all that, which is a pretty cool experience. So I actually have a quick little video I can play of what I actually did. This is like a video I just made in my house, but I put my camera in the back of my plane. That was a quick little video, 1-minute video of how I actually did go through and fly, because it is a pretty tricky process. Once you get the hang of it, it's just all kind of like driving a car, except there's a couple different dimensions. There we go. So for my reflections, I I actually, learned how to fly a single-engine land airplane, which means you can only fly planes with one engine with less than 200 horsepower and only land-based planes. There's also seaplanes. Those planes like 2 engines. We have multi-engine, you can fly like 2 engines, 3 engines, like 20 engines, how many ever there are. But I only have single-engine land. And some things that kind of trouble me were that written test because of how many fine details were asked, and there's so much about weather and airspace, and there's just so much to know. And it was quite nice when I passed it yesterday. I was so happy about that. I finally have all that out of the way. And to deal with the situation, I didn't spend like 30 hours doing actual at my home just studying, doing a bunch of practice tests. I also did like ground school, like I said, with different instructors. We would go over the different questions. And but for the future, what I can use with this is I can actually just fly myself to Catalina for lunch, or I could fly across to different areas of the country. And quite quick, little trips. Like it's quite convenient how you just go across in the whole state and just be back before the sun sets. It's also quite nice for seeing an area. So like if you want to take in all the details, the ground is great, but you can't see everything. From the air, you can really see so much. And this is actually how I found a certain spot I like flying my drones at, because I passed over with my plane. I was like, hey, that looks like a pretty cool spot. So actually, now I can go to that place a couple of times, fly the drones. It's you can see so much when you're up there. And the plane that flight has such big windows as well. It makes it quite nice. And my favorite part of the experience was either cross-country flights or night flights. Because for cross-country, like I said, there's so much not to do. Just because you're sitting there, just kind of taking the scenery. You can see the ocean, you can see the piers. I actually flew over, like I said, I flew over Ventura, kind of that area. So there's really a beautiful ocean there. When I did go my first time, it was quite clear, which is quite nice. So I could just take in the sights, the mountains and everything, which is pretty cool. And I think this really capped my high school journey because it's something I've always wanted to do. Ever since I was a kid, I've always kind of loved aviation. I've always wanted to learn how to fly a plane, and to actually finally be able to do this, fly a plane all by myself, is an incredible thing because it's, like I said, it's been a dream of mine, and it was pretty cool just to take everything in. Because on that first solo flight that you do take, you're so nervous, and you hope that everything's going to go well, but really there's nothing that's not going to go wrong. I mean, it's pretty easy, is what I mean. Because you've done this just a million times, and just going out just like a routine flight. And for the first solo flight, I just flew around the airport, and landed a couple of times, and that was it. And I was so worried about it, but it went so well. It was incredible how, it's a lot easier than I actually thought it would be. I mean, there was a lot of material to know. You have to know all these maps, you have to know how to do all the calculations. Once you get the hang of it, it is a similar process to driving a car, because I didn't want to originally drive cars because it was another thing I have to know how to do. And now that I know how to do it, it's a pretty nice thing. So this has been my senior project, and I want to thank you for coming.
We have a couple of extra minutes, so that's good. If there are any questions anyone wants to ask?
Yes.
When you did the solo flight, was that before you took the written test?
It is. So what you have to do is before you can take that written test, you have to have 10 hours of solo flight. And what I did was I did my first one, which is the first for everyone. It's just flying around the airport and doing a couple of landings. Then for my second one, I did cross country. That's a nice way to get in a lot of hours within, just one day. You get 5 or 6 hours of solo flight. And you do have to do all that before you take the written test, and then before you do the what's called a check ride, where you go up with an actual examiner and they'll check out all your abilities.
To make sure that you're okay to do.
Yeah, and then they'll check you off to go fly by yourself.
And how did your parents handle this?
At first, it was kind of it is an expensive thing to do. I don't know about that. But then once we kind of started talking about it, it became a lot more feasible because it's kind of you go over time, the payments, I guess. Because you have to do the flight lessons, and it's just okay, a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's not as bad. It's not all.
You make
I
some
think
child
she
pay
meant
for
where
that.
they,
We were freaked out the first solo test. We're like, oh, where is he now?
I've been watching that video.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
what if you?
It was just call me when you're down and I'll know you're down.
We were all scared. Yeah.
Yes.
Whose plane are you flying?
It's called Cessna 162 Skycatcher. by renting it from a flight school I go to. It's a really nice little plane.
Mine's more of a comment than a question, which is, I totally want to do that.
It's been a really neat thing to learn how to
That
do.
was awesome.
Very inspiring.
How is this gonna relate to your major in college?
Oh yeah, so my major in college is called Unmanned Systems, and it's like using drones in a practical application in, in like the work world, like inspecting windmills and stuff like that, or inspecting buildings under bridges. And actually for this course, you have to know a lot of aviation-related things. So you have to know all the airspaces, you have to know all the weather minimums and stuff like that. And I'm going to be able to get a lot of my college courses done just by having this private pilot certificate. Yes.
Where are you going to college?
I was meeting Indiana State University.
And why there?
They actually have one of the best unmanned systems majors in the whole country. And
Wow.